Hello YouTubers, Alaska Prepper here. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm recording this on Friday, but it won't be out till Saturday because as soon as I'm done recording this, I have to get ready for our live stream. But what I've decided to do about our good news is instead of waiting the entire week to do a compilation video of all of the good news that I've received, I'm just going to go ahead and include one or two good news stories on a video that I'm putting up towards the end as I get them in. So like right now I've got one good news story and it'll be towards the end of this video. And if you don't want to go through all of the other gloom and doom, ladies and gentlemen, you can go ahead and always skip forward using the chapters function where you can just go right to it. But the news that I have to share with you is also news that you've all sent me throughout the week. So this is a compilation of news that you may not know about, but that I think is very important for you to hear. If you do have news to send me, send it to my Alaska Prepper Intel email address. It is in the description of the video, ladies and gentlemen. So send any news that you have to send me there, and send my happy news there as well. Right? Happy news is always welcome. But the first thing that we want to talk about is this. Many people are going to leave everything they have in the banks until it's too late and they can't take it out. That's why I'm always telling you, you have to prepare yourselves, not only with food, not only with water, not only with self-defense, but you want to be able to have some of your wealth brought forward with you once this all comes to be. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not sure if you heard me say this before, because I've said it 1,000 times, but we are in what is a cycle. We're at the end of a monetary cycle, financial cycle. They're all culminating in one point, and when it hits, it's going to hit really fast. It's going to be slow at first. It's going to speed up a little bit, and then from one day to the other, or from one weekend to the Monday, the next Monday or Tuesday, right after a 3 or 4 day holiday, whatever it may be, we would probably be into a whole different system, and they're going to tell us, we did it for your own good. The banking crisis continues unabated, and this is what people are not hearing in the mainstream media. Before we get to the meat of the topic, let's go ahead and list the 15 banks being discussed in the video so you can see quickly if yours is named. And here they are right here. You can see for yourselves: Ally Financial, Comerica, KeyCorp, Trust Financial Corporation, or Truist. And it goes on. You can take a look at here. I'll be leaving the link to this article on a pinned comment so you can take a look at it as well, ladies and gentlemen. But here, quickly reading this, America is about to see a cascade of bank failures, and the future of hundreds of regional banks is on the line right now. Why is this happening? Many reasons, but from what I understand, the main reason this is happening is because of the interest rates going up. You see, these banks use your money, ladies and gentlemen, your deposits, to go ahead and buy government bonds. But when they bought all of these government bonds years back, the interest rates was very, very low. And now that the interest rates are a lot higher, they're having to take a loss on their books. Right? That's a layman's term explanation of why these banks are going bankrupt and going out of business. However, do your own research and decide if you want to leave all of your money in the bank. Many institutions have high exposure to risky assets, something that account holders will probably only find out after a major crisis erupts and they can no longer withdraw their funds. But don't worry about the banks, ladies and gentlemen. Everything's going to be okay, because the U.S. is going to give automakers and suppliers $12 billion so that they can make more EVs, so that you can be told that you can't charge them because we have a failing infrastructure. I'm just being a little sarcastic because it seems like they're pushing us towards things that they already know don't work with the infrastructure that we currently have. But they're going to find out soon enough, ladies and gentlemen, that you can print all of this money out of thin air, but the stuff that you need to make those batteries, the stuff that you need to make those EVs, all of these components, they're not printed out of thin air. And no matter how much money you print out of thin air, there's only so much of a finite resource that you can extract from the earth at a certain price. Meaning what? That the more that they print, the more they're going to have to print later on. The United States is making $12 billion available in grants and loans for automakers and suppliers to retrofit their plants to produce electric and other advanced vehicles. How are they going to electrify those cars with the system, the grid that we have now, ladies and gentlemen? That's the question you ought to be asking yourself before you purchase one of these cars. Or, better stated, if you're one of the few that can afford to buy an electric car. The Biden administration will also offer, in addition to the $12 billion, $3.5 billion in funding to domestic battery manufacturers. Again, this money that's printed out of nowhere, that is part of our deficit, meaning that's adding to the inflationary forces that make prices go up. This $3.5 billion, ladies and gentlemen, is not magically going to make the things that we need for those batteries appear out of thin air. The money can appear out of thin air all at once, but the actual resources that we need, they're not going to appear out of thin air. And I'm not sure if you've heard about this little block of nations. They're called the BRICS nations, right? The BRICS that are all getting together to collude with one another, to trade with one another. A lot of those nations, ladies and gentlemen, which makes up a little over half the population of the earth, if not more. A lot of those nations are nations that produce these resources that we need in order to electrify our world the way that this administration wants us to. So I don't see this going anywhere very long term, and it's just going to be catastrophic, because by the time that they get their green revolution going, they will have put all of our other stuff, all of our legacy systems to bed. They would have mothballed all those systems. And then what happens when they finally figure out that green is not as green as it was meant to be, and that it is not as efficient or reliable as it was said to be? We'll have all of these other systems, coal burning plants, oil burning plants, natural gas burning plants that make electricity. We'll have all these other systems mothballed, not being able to use them, while being stuck in a system that just doesn't work. This is a very serious article, ladies and gentlemen, and by all means understand that these articles that I'm reading off to you, they're not in any particular order. If they were in order of seriousness, this would have probably been in the very first part of this video. Young Americans are dying at an alarming rate, reversing years of progress. I wonder why, ladies and gentlemen. Can you guess? The uptick among younger Americans dying accelerated in 2020. Though the health crisis itself wasn't a major cause of death for young people, researchers say, now listen to this, I've always stated, all of these people that have lost their businesses, lost their jobs, lost their homes, and all this and that, I've always stated, it's not because of the health crisis. It's because of all of the policies that were passed because of the health crisis. They took a health crisis and then they started getting as draconian as possible, in my opinion, to see if the people would put up with it, and also to print money. To print money out of thin air like it's never been done before, because they knew if they didn't, the system would fail. It is the actions taken by the so-called leaders that is causing this right here, ladies and gentlemen, along with all of the other societal symptoms that you have seen occurred over the last few years. I'll start again. Although the health crisis itself wasn't a major cause of death for young people, researchers say societal disruption caused by this health crisis exacerbated public health problems, including worsening in anxiety and depression. Between 2019 and 20, the overall mortality rates for ages 1 through 19 rose by almost 11%, and that is a huge number. An increase by an additional 8.3% the following year. That is the highest increase for 2 consecutive years in a half century. Again, ladies and gentlemen, how many people actually passed because of the actual health crisis? Because of that thing that they said was in the air, that came from a bat. How many people actually passed because of that? And then how many people have passed and are passing today because of what they told us we had to do, for your own good, of course. I get pretty excited about this because everything that's happened in the last several years, I would say the last 2 or 3 years, everything that's happened, ladies and gentlemen, has been a test against our freedom. And as human nature tells us, we are going to fail that test until we've had enough. I mean, look at what happened the last couple of years. Even I was on board. I put on my little mask, ladies and gentlemen. I did it. At first, until I looked into it. And then I was like, this is bull butter. I talked to someone who'd been a pharmacist. Just a pharmacist. But he'd been a pharmacist for 35, 40 years. And he said, this is bull butter. Bull butter. And ladies and gentlemen, you can make up your own minds. Now this may seem quite elementary, but it really is not. Taco Bell's push to go cashless is a gateway to a surveillance society. Some people may say, well, they're a private restaurant, so what? Ladies and gentlemen, this is how it starts, little by little, right? Next thing you know, you're one of those people in line getting your little thing or whatever it is that they put in there, that tracker that they put in there. Because it's so convenient, but this is how it starts. There are those who might yawn at what they perceive to be a natural progression into fully digitized world when they read this headline. But the implications are extreme. Not just because of the technology itself, but because of who is engaged in it. When we go cashless, and I believe that eventually we will eventually go cashless, things are going to get so draconian, ladies and gentlemen, that will be, in my opinion, the catalyst that gets us out of this draconian system and into a new system where we can be free again. Even more disconcerting is the potential societal exclusion this move could propagate. A cashless model marginalizes groups who predominantly rely on cash and prefer privacy. Ladies and gentlemen, what are those people going to be doing that are standing out by the corner asking for $1 or $2, begging for whatever it is? Those people are going to be out of luck. And if they're lucky enough to get donations with their little e-wallets, electronic wallets that they're given, then they're going to get taxed on that money immediately before they can even spend it. All right, this is a big money grab and a big grab of control over a population. Moreover, individuals in service industries, waiters, waitresses, who primarily depend on cash tips, stand to lose the immediacy of their hard-earned income in a cashless landscape. Digital payments, while convenient for some, can become an impediment for others. And ladies and gentlemen, again, if you are a waiter or a waitress or someone who is in a service industry and relies on tips for part of your living, those tips are going to be taxed. In my opinion, I'm not talking about right away. That's when they finally get rid of cash, your tips are going to be taxed immediately. Heck, if you sneeze the wrong way, whatever fine they decide to give you is going to come out of your account right away. This is where this will lead, ladies and gentlemen, believe it or not. Same thing as the self-checkouts and all that kind of stuff. These are all leading in the same direction. While Taco Bell seems eager to replace human interaction with cold, impersonal touchscreens across its franchises, the real cost of this move extends beyond just a changed payment method. It's a dangerous precedent, risking the erosion of privacy and inclusivity in the relentless pursuit of digital dominance. As Taco Bell strives to redefine the fast food industry with its digital-first approach, it's essential to question at what cost to individual freedom. And that's what many people don't ever question, ladies and gentlemen. So what do we do about this? Heck, send them a message. If Taco Bell wants to be the first one to go cashless and go fully digital, don't visit Taco Bell. I think I was at Safeway when I went to buy that hot sauce that I talked about on my previous live stream, I think it was. There was one cash register open out of about 15 of them, I'm guessing. But of course, there were several of those self-checkouts open, right? And they were being manned by either one or two persons at each section, one on each side. And there was a line of people on that one register. And guess what? There was nobody in the self-checkouts. Guess what I did? I got in line. I had my 2 little bottles of hot sauce. That's what I had. 2 bottles of hot sauce on that trip. I got in line, and you know what I started doing? Guess what I started doing? I started chatting with the guy in front of me. And we just started talking. Never met him before, but we just started chatting. Imagine that, ladies and gentlemen. Human interaction. Imagine a world where there is none. Where there is no longer empathy for one another because we don't talk to one another. I don't know. Maybe I'm reaching. And before we get to our happy news, ladies and gentlemen, I have to share this with you because this is pretty important in my opinion. Paper straws contain toxic forever chemicals and could be worse than plastic straws, study states. Researchers analyzed the PFA, or quote-unquote forever chemicals, concentrations of 39 brands of drinking straws, which were comprised of 5 materials: paper, bamboo, glass, stainless steel, and plastic. They found that paper straws had the most PFAs, with a whopping 90% of paper straws containing the chemicals. So 90% of all of the paper straws that they examined had these forever chemicals inside of them. Incredible, ladies and gentlemen. It's what I like to call a slow kill. Meanwhile, bamboo straws, another highly touted green alternative, clocked in second with 80%, followed by 75% for plastic straws. So plastic straws had less of these forever chemicals than the paper straws or the bamboo straws. And then the glass straws came in, which is kind of weird that glass straws even have the forever chemicals, but they came in at 40% of the ones they tested positive for those PFAs. And then there was none found in the steel straws. So ladies and gentlemen, the straws that they have told us, hey, these are the ones that we want to use to save the planet, they may be saving the planet. I don't know. I don't think so. However, they're definitely not saving us, the people that are using it. Now, let's go ahead and talk about our happy story of the day. I actually have a couple more in queue, but I had to ask permission of those who email me whether they would share their pictures with me or not. But I have a couple of stories that I want to share with you. And if I get noticed soon enough, maybe I will have already shared those happy stories with you all during yesterday's live stream. But if not, they'll be sure to be shared with you later on. Here is the happy story of the day. Now, I'm sure that you've heard about this young man. His name is Jaden, and the school that he went to pretty much told his parents or told his mother that he was going to be permanently suspended unless he took a patch of a Gadsden flag off his backpack. You know, the "No, don't tread on me" flag? He had a little patch of that on his backpack. And the funny thing is that I believe it was his history teacher that did not even know what that flag represents. All right, ladies and gentlemen, and this is how our children are programmed. Same thing with this climate stuff. This is how they're programmed. They're told by teachers, who? People that are in authority. Well, this young man obviously did his homework, literally. And he pretty much said, hey, listen, this flag does not represent racism. It represents when we, the United States of America, weren't even the United States of America, but we told the British, hey, go shove it. Excuse me. All right? And no, we're not going to give you our guns. And ladies and gentlemen, they had to come back and say, hey, yeah, we were wrong, and you can come back to school. It's just a shame what's happening to our young children as far as how they're being indoctrinated by those people that we're supposed to trust, that will be there to teach them instead of fill their heads with ideologies that we don't agree with. It's okay for us to disagree with each other, but one thing for sure should be secured in schools, right? And is that our children are taught how to read, write, proper history, of course, but not filled with ideologies that we don't want them filled with. That's up to parents, right? But anyways, this is happy news. He is now good to go. Let me see, what does this say? I know that I read this earlier on, so let's see what it says. Jaden, the 12-year-old boy who was kicked out of class for wearing a Gadsden flag patch on his backpack, is back in school with his constitutional rights restored. What a great lesson this is. Good for him. Good for Jaden. What a great lesson this is for the rest of the children in that class as well. So in a way, it's kind of good that this happened. So good for him. The Vanguard School recognizes the Gadsden flag and its place in history, wrote the school's board of directors in a statement. And you know what? Good for them as well, to actually stand by the truth, right? Instead of employing an ideology, they actually went and said, hey, yeah, we were wrong. So yes, you can come back to school and you can keep that flag on your backpack. At this time, the Vanguard School Board and the district have informed the students' families that they may attend school with the Gadsden flag patch visible on their backpack. Awesome, ladies and gentlemen. That's what it's all about. That's what it's all about, right? Keep sending your happy stories to me, ladies and gentlemen. I truly do enjoy reading them. And boy, I'll tell you what, I have a couple that are really, really awesome. So I can't wait to hear back from those of you that send them to me. Having said that, listen, I hope that you have a great rest of your day. I am going to be, believe it or not, you're not going to believe this when I tell you this. So only those of you that are faithful Alaska Prepper community members that are still here are going to know this. I will be out of the state of Alaska for a few days. I finally decided to get out of my comfort zone and take a huge leap. It's not going to be a very long trip, but we have to start taking little steps, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so I'm going to be out of there, and I'm going to go ahead and document my trip and share with all of you. I think that on Monday, yes, this Monday, we're going to have a live stream, right, on this channel. So on Monday, we're going to have a live stream on this channel. So I hope that you're there to join in and have a great time. Having said that, have a great rest of your weekend, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for all of your support. God bless every single one of you. God bless America. I'm Alaska Prepper. I'm out.